All of us are seeking the same thing. We share the desire to fulfill the highest, truest expression of ourselves as human beings. Oprah. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. As I close out season 6 of the Become Your Own Boss podcast, I wanted to bring you a Boss Up Books episode. This summer, I wanted to challenge myself to read a couple of books of fiction or just some non-business related books. Now, in case you already know or don't know, I am an Oprah fan. I used to watch her show when I was a kid, and I really kind of grew up with her show. My aunt would have it on after school, and even when I went off to college, I would often have it on as background noise after class while I studied, or at least tried to study, because I often would get sucked into her stories around her guests or her experts' advice on health and finances, relationships, etc. There are even specific shows that have stuck with me over the years, guests that I remember and sometimes wonder how they are doing today. Well, I decided to pick up the book, The Wisdom of Sundays by Oprah. And the quote I read at the top of this episode opens the book up beautifully. This book is a compilation of excerpts from her many Super Soul Sunday guests. She calls them wisdom conversations. And to add even more excellence to the book, there are gorgeous pictures of nature throughout. I personally found it not to be a book to just sit down and read in 1 or 2 sittings. I really enjoyed reading 1, 2, or 3 of the excerpts each day and pondering on the topic discussed. It is one of those books that I'll read again. I'll probably just kind of pick it up and open it to a page just for some inspiration or a thought-provoking question on any given day. And it's truly a beautiful book too. Like it would make a great coffee table book. The contents of the book are comprised of 10 chapters, and those chapters are awakening, intention, mindfulness, spiritual GPS, ego, forgiveness, broken open, grace and gratitude, fulfillment, and love and connection. With conversations pulled from the likes of Deepak Chopra, Brene Brown, Elizabeth Gilbert, Jack Canfield, Michael Bernard Beckwith, and so many more, this book is definitely a cherishable, deeply affecting book, as it states on the back cover. I found once I was a bit more than halfway through the book, I really needed to take notes, or more or less make notes of pages that really left me inspired or harnessed a thought I wanted to remember and or revisit later. One of those moments is on page 174. Oprah shares this. Outside my office door at Harpo Studios in Chicago, there was an elevator. Every day, I rode it to the studio to tape the show. It was only 1 floor down, and I could have easily walked, but those precious moments alone were my opportunity to set my intention to bring the very best of myself to both the guest and the audience. I said the same prayer then that I say now before every Super Soul Sunday interview. Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use me for a purpose greater than myself. Do you all see why I love Oprah? Anyway, I thought to myself in the moment I read this, that this is exactly what I want. I want that for this podcast, for any business I start and run. I want it all to be for a purpose bigger than me. I had never actually put that into words, though I do believe it resided in my head. This prayer made it more concrete for me. I have since created my own version of this when I'm putting together a podcast episode. I pray that it serves you, or it makes a positive impact on someone out there. It helps someone's business to be more successful so they can provide jobs and means for their family. That it is ultimately bigger than me, and that it ultimately fulfills God's purpose, because I know He gave me this idea for a reason 3 years ago. Actually, over 4 years ago, but it took me a year to just pull it together to actually make it happen. And as I mentioned before on the show, COVID really propelled that, because I had no more excuses of time. Oh, I don't have time. That was no longer a factor. That being said, though, now that we've gotten back to normal, as I put in air quotes, this has become a little bit tougher to do each week, because my business is back to its normal flow. The kids are back to their normal school activities and after school activities. So it has become a bit more difficult, but God continues to grant me space and time to get it done. And I do truly pray that it's helping someone out there, even if it's just one person. That's better than zero. Now, Oprah's share was amazing, and she writes throughout this book. There are kind of journal entries from her, and I don't know if she actually wrote them during the time she was doing the show. I kind of get that impression, but I'm not sure if she wrote them during the time she was doing the show or if she wrote them after the fact as she put these chapters together, or she and her team put these chapters together. But there are a lot of these moments in the book, and I want to just share one more from Daniel Pink on page 188. Daniel says this: the first is, you ask yourself, what is your sentence? This comes from a famous story about Claire Booth Luce, who said to President Kennedy, "Hey, a great man is one sentence. You don't have a sentence, you've got a paragraph, and that doesn't work." And if you really want to be great, Lincoln had one sentence. He preserved the Union and freed the slaves. Good sentence. FDR had a sentence. He lifted us out of a Great Depression and helped us win a world war. Awesome sentence. And she went to Kennedy and said, listen, a great man is one sentence. Daniel goes on to say, a great person is a sentence. And I find that really useful in sort of orienting our lives to our purpose and asking ourselves, what's your sentence? And I think that's really clarifying for people. Oprah responds, do you know what mine is? I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking, well, what I want it to be is, I teach people to lead their best lives by leading my own. Daniel replies, that's a good sentence. Actually, he said, whoa, that's a good sentence. And Oprah asked him, and what's your sentence? Daniel replies, man, I don't want to follow that one. My sentence as I thought about this was, he wrote books that help people understand the world a little more clearly and live their lives a little more fully. In full disclosure, I wrote this down on my notes. What's your sentence? And that's an overwhelming question. I haven't answered it yet. I have not answered that question yet, but going back and putting this episode together, I'm like, oh boy, I need to go back and think about that. What is my sentence? What is your sentence? Again, there are so many thought-provoking things in this book, and I wanted to share it with you because it is truly a remarkable book. The byline of the book is life-changing insights from Super Soul Conversations. You know, this podcast really focuses on business growth, learning from other entrepreneurs, avoiding the pitfalls of entrepreneurship, all of those things. But it really is also about being the boss of every area of your life. And in order to really do that, it means we have to work on the entirety of ourselves, our physical health, our financial health, our relationship with ourselves, and our friends and family. This book, though, is really about you, dialing into you, or me dialing into me. It asks some thought-provoking questions. It has the power to open your mind, open your heart. It has the power to make you think differently about everything around you, your soul, your intention, the universe. Now, some of the conversations are really deep, deeper than others. And those, honestly, I had to read twice sometimes. But I do strongly recommend this book. It was a great summer read, a great summer pick. Speaking of dialing into me, I'm doing something for me in the next few weeks. I booked a 2-night stay at an inn for myself. This is something I rarely do. I have definitely taken weekends like girls' trips. Ethan and I will go off and just have time to ourselves. Of course, we go on vacation with the kids, but this is just for me. I'm not taking my computer, only a couple of books and my journal. I am in need of some downtime, some me time. I just want to think. That being said, I'm taking next week off from the podcast, but we'll be back to launch season 7. And I am really excited about season 7 because I have already done some really great interviews with business owners who just amaze me. The things that drive us to start our businesses and keep us pushing forward despite the obstacles are phenomenal. And I cannot wait to share it all with you. Also, I want you all to know I'm starting a new accountability group in October. And this is your time to join. There's only 6 spots. And I must admit, the word accountability group sounds really lame. So I have since named it the BossLife Collective because, yes, the purpose is to hold you accountable to the goals that you set for yourself and to put you in touch with other entrepreneurs who are on the same path, like-minded individuals. But honestly, accountability group was a lame name. So BossLife Collective, you have the opportunity to join. You will be a part of my second cohort. And I've made some changes this time around. The program will run for 6 months instead of 3. We will meet bi-weekly instead of weekly. There will be a monthly one-on-one call with me. You will also get 2 quarters of the Become Your Own Boss planner as part of the program. And you will be a part of a tribe of entrepreneurs who understands the trials, the wins, the challenges, and the triumphs of entrepreneurship. And it is really about focusing on the things that are going to move your business forward, propel your business forward. So see the show notes for details or email me with any questions about the BossLife Collective. Oh, and another thing that we will do as part of the BossLife Collective is the last 30 minutes or so of each of our meetings will actually be working meetings. And this idea came from someone in the first cohort. She really felt like it would be awesome for us not to only talk about these things that we've gotten done in our business and things we wanted to get done, but to actually maybe spend some time working on those things together. So we are literally holding each other accountable in that very moment. So that will also be part of the program. Oftentimes, as entrepreneurs, we spend time working in our business. We're always working and toiling in, and we really need to set aside that time to work on the business. So that is what BossLife Collective is all about. So again, see the show notes for details. You can join today if you want to. You can also just set up a call with me to learn more. You can do that as well. Thanks for tuning in today. Go out and grab the Wisdom of Sundays. This would be a really, really good book club book. I just thought about that. I'm like, this book would make a great book club book because you can dive into each chapter a month, like dive deep. Anyway, I'm not going to be the one to do it, but if you do start a book club around this book, I would love to be a part of it. It is an amazing book, so pick it up. Also, please take a moment to rate, share, and review the podcast. It just takes 2 minutes. You can pass it on to someone else who you think could benefit, and you can go on to Apple or Spotify to rate and write a short review. It doesn't have to be long. Thanks so much for tuning in again. Remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.